Meet Madam, who calls herself Madame, who's now called Princess Ash. She is a self-described Leafy clone that reached 50,000 subscribers in September and also achieved that feat again in October. As you can see, her channel is quite the train wreck. Ignoring the extremely confusing array of random thumbnails, it's clear with the positive dislike ratio, something has happened that has caused such a reaction. The fact that such a small channel managed to enrage the entire YouTube art community to the point that it has severely crippled her channel's ability to perform is truly spectacular in its own right, but there's also a good reason for this. The reason for this will be discussed soon, although a number of you probably have a good idea of how she managed to hit 50,000 subs twice within a month. I've been looking into this for the past few weeks, and if you're subscribed to me and follow my community posts, you will know what is coming. It's not just the events that trigger the reaction from the art community that we're looking into. We will also be diving into her fraudulent activity and discuss the overwhelming evidence that leads towards the verdict that she scammed thousands of dollars from her supporters, and this will be accompanied by the opinions of legal experts. As well, her dangerous and toxic nature will be revealed from the people who used to be close with her until eventually they met her dark side. I hope you're seated and have your beverage by your side, because we're going to delve into the lies and deception of Madam and explore how disingenuous, fraudulent, and dangerous she is. Let's begin.
Cancel your pledge if your purpose was to help me with the lawsuit, because it has been 100% covered.
What Madam has decided to try and do, or threat to do, is disgusting. It's awful, it's over the top, it's way too far.
I have been demonized too much for literally no valid reason, because furries dislike my content.
This all started because of lack of credit, that's it.
All because of
It's
a
just too much.
YouTube comment.
They dislike me based off of fabrication.
It's her reaction that just makes this a story.
You took money from fans who donated to your Patreon. You asked for money to specifically sue Onision. And then in your most recent video, which is now removed, you claim that you're not going to showcase or update anybody on the court case and the lawsuit because people are questioning your intent. That doesn't make any sense.
She's a lying asshole that I know of, so...
I hope there's like a 1% that I'm wrong. You lied to everybody. You're a fraud.
So, where do we start? Madam's rise in subscribers came from a string of videos she made on Onision. In May, June and August, her subscriber growth peaked due to the popularity of these videos. We will look into this a bit more in the next part of the video, but first, let's go over the reason why she became a punching bag for the art community in the most chronological way possible. It's quite the story, so bear with me and we will get through this together. Since Miss Ash is a Leafy clone, her content is as basic as you can get. Boring, uninspired commentary slapped over some visually appealing gameplay stretched out to over 10 minutes, and that's really all it is. She decided she wanted to spice things up a bit, and she commissioned someone to create her some sprites that appear in her videos. Kind of like this guy. The agreement was that the artist would receive credit in the description as they weren't old enough to accept a full paid commission, a fair trade for, essentially, free labor. This is such a simple transaction, art for credit. How it spiraled from here is beyond me. This is honestly the most moronic thing I've ever seen. Please refrain from banging your head against any solid object, as this itself will make you lose IQ points. On September the 13th, Noni, an art channel with over 100,000 subscribers, released a video criticizing Madam for her treatment of Slimmers, who is the artist she had commissioned for her sprites. In the video, she interviews Slimmers, who reveals her side of what happened with Ash, and the recounts and evidence she brings forward illustrate a major overreaction on the part of the Leafy clone. What I've gathered from the videos and posts I've seen during the research stage of this video, Slimmers watched Madam's video that had her art in the thumbnail of the video. To her surprise, she wasn't given credit in the description of the video, so she left a comment asking for that to be fixed. I think during the same time, she'd also posted on a spam Instagram story a screenshot of the video notification on Discord with the text that said, "Been working for Madam lately. I haven't gotten credit in the description though." But it's okay, this is exciting. It was nothing entirely aggressive or untoward. However, Madam sent Slimmers a torrent of DMs on Discord berating her for not sending her a DM because she might not see the YouTube comment. She goes on speaking like she's a shit, you know, she thinks she's really popular and has all of these connections with streamers and whatnot. She's trying to make Slimmers feel bad because they've called a few times and that somehow makes her contractually obligated by a blood pact to send her a DM instead of commenting. I'm not being hostile, but you should really make sure you contact me properly or I'll tell you how to behave because I'm a big YouTuber. Okay, what happened next was interesting. According to Madam, she started receiving comments from people saying that she should credit Slimmers, and she sis snapped. she accused Slimmers of sending people to comment on her social media and made a big meal out of a few comments calling for credit, telling Slimmers that she won't work with her, and then proceeded to block her. So Slimmers messaged her on Instagram to resolve this conflict because it was an overreaction. This is where the infamous unprofessional comments arose. The post in question was the one we saw before. It wasn't a call-out post, but one that showed how excited the artist was to be working with an upcoming YouTuber. The response by Ashley was pathetic from someone who was supposed to be more mature than the artist, and after this altercation, she went ahead and removed the credit from the video, replacing it with the words, "No one, since they decided to be unprofessional." After this, Madam posted on her own Instagram a paragraph about Slimmers that said she would expose her for lying about her age, occupation, Madam herself, and the SA word. From what we've seen given to us by Slimmers through Nornie's video, none of what Madam is saying in this post is actually fact, and especially the last point. Why would you even include that? But it seems that Madam has no sense of ethical conduct and she's just a spiteful rat. In a subsequent post, she revealed a phone number which was fake, but there was clear intent there to put Slimmers in harm's way by attempting to dox her by revealing this to her audience. All this so she can drive the idea of Slimmers being some sort of compulsive garbage liar that needs exposing. It's quite ironic. I'm pretty sure that at the same time, Slimmers also made a few Instagram posts trying to explain what had happened, so I guess we're all caught up to Nornie's video. A day after this video, Madam posted a 35-minute train wreck seemingly in response to Nornie's video as well as the original issue she had with Slimmers. It is a video that is based solely on the requirement that you believe what she says. However, if you watch the Nornie video, a lot of what Madam claims is essentially false and manipulated to fit her story. She's victimizing herself in the hopes her audience sides with her. However, it's clear a majority of them did not, and she suffered the consequence of not providing any evidence to support her claims. This 19-year-old adult is throwing a hissy fit and stating that a young girl's assault experience is invalid simply because they asked for credit. When the issue is that small and you make a 35-minute video justifying your overreaction, you don't deserve to direct a story. You're just a moron. Nornie responded to this video 4 days later and essentially summed it up as being a pointless misunderstanding, except for the part where she talks about the assault, and Nornie explains it perfectly.
I don't agree with literally pretty much anything in this video, but at least she didn't talk about the sexual assault. Until, of course, she talked about the sexual assault. And from that point, I decided, hell yeah, I'm making a video. That's not right. Literally, you can take anything else in this video and throw it at me, and I'd be like, literally, it's not that big a deal. It's just a big misunderstanding. But the fact that Madam decided to throw this out in the public, not only, is what bothers me. Whether it be a lie or not, it is not okay to imply that something like this is a lie, especially considering it's a child. So God forbid that this did happen to a child and you're telling them that their feelings are invalid, and I can't even imagine how that would make somebody feel. You're bringing up that she brought it up in 10 minutes. She might have. You have no proof of that other than what's coming out of your mouth. I have information from Slimmers about how the story went down. I have 2 different sides of the story. I'm not going to say anything because it's personal to you, and I have respect for you as a person. So I'm not going to go ahead and just talk about it open and public because that is not okay with me. So you have no proof that this girl is lying. You have no right to say that she's lying. It's disgusting. I can understand what you're saying, that it seems a little wacky that somebody would tell a complete stranger about something like this, but that tells me that she was comfortable with you, because I am a victim to certain things in my life, and one of my main coping mechanisms is like talking about it. I talk about it randomly all the time. I joke about it. I do it just random new people that I meet. Sure, shoot, I just go for it. That's how I cope with the things that I went through. It's a coping mechanism, and it's honestly disgusting that you're sitting here saying that this girl is invalid because of it, and it really makes me angry. Just saying.
This was a slam dunk. The walls were caving in around Madam and she really didn't have anywhere to go. A calm, rational person would accept that they were in the wrong and offer an apology, especially for dragging someone because you were butthurt that they were getting more support than you. But no, thinking that she could be calm and rational is a bit naive. No. She has to one-up herself and further boost her ego. She released a 2-hour-long video disguised as an apology that wasn't an apology and was just an attempt to bait people in to gain more revenue from those who wanted to see if she had an ounce of integrity. It was yet again more self-destructive behaviour that has become ever present in the case of Madam, and it became more clear that she wasn't inherently capable of understanding the criticism. She was blinded by her own lies, lust for money, and sheer lack of awareness outside her own echo chamber of idiocy. This wasn't her last breath either, and she went ahead and further alienated the community she had pissed off. She made another video on another artist named Mokafua, who designed her merch and profile art, simply because they decided to stop working with Madam because of her treatment of slimmers. So on October the 31st, a day after Madam's video, Mokafua came out in a Twitter thread debunking everything that was said by Madam with actual evidence to support her counterclaims. I've noticed that there's a recurring theme with Madam, and it's her inability to support her claims with evidence, while everyone else seems to be able to provide it for their response to her. She refuses to give definitive proof that these things actually happened. Even in this video, she stops showing screenshots after the third one because she more than likely has nothing to support her claims, because she's just lying. The thread provides enough of an argument to invalidate Madam's video and prove that she was most definitely chatting a load of bubbles, as well as breaching this artist's privacy by revealing a private email address. This wacky ass bitch made a whole video on someone simply because they refused to work with someone who would attempt to dox a 15-year-old and claim that they would lie about something private that should have never been revealed to the public. She's very professional. The aftermath of this is clear with how Madam's channel looks right now. It's been decimated by a single community that didn't originally have any overlap but managed to single-handedly stunt her growth. It's clear her ego played a role in her downfall, as all she had to do was take it on the chin, except that some people would be late in responding to Slimmers' original post. But no, she's shown us how incapable she is at handling herself at this level of online presence, and in the end, she's going to pay for it in one way or another. Now remember back to how Madam first rose on YouTube. It had to do with her videos on Onision. She gained well over 40,000 subscribers for her videos on Onion Boy, and this wasn't the only reason why she garnered support from the anti-Onision club. Her main video was allegedly taken down by Onision with a copyright strike, which pissed her off, and then decided she would endeavour on suing him for damages due to his false takedown of the video. She claimed that she did her research and was going to file a small claims lawsuit against Onision to the maximum total of $5,000. In doing so, she released a video promoting a desire to sue Onision in the effort to stop him from abusing YouTube's copyright system. She advertised her Patreon as a fundraiser for her case against Mr. Jackson, which would cover the costs of the entire ordeal. It all seemed legitimate, and people were rallying behind her. Oh, how they were so wrong. So you've probably caught on to what's coming up next. During the whole fiasco with the art community and the reluctance to admit any of her wrongdoing, the legitimacy of Madam's lawsuit was questioned. Due to a consistent procession of lies, some people started asking whether this lawsuit was even a thing or just a manufactured lie to grab a quick buck. Two notable creators drove this theory and provided a somewhat convincing argument as to how the lawsuit may not even exist, and in turn, how many people were scammed into donating to a false cause. Creepshow Art and Repzion, who's a reputable Onision expert, both made videos discussing their concern with Madam's claim that she was suing Onision after she started avoiding the entire subject altogether.
At no point did she ever show any proof that Onision had struck her video down or done anything to her. And the only proof that she ever showed was a printed out legal document that wasn't filled out. That was the only proof that she showed that the lawsuit was happening. That was it. All of her proof amounted to trust me, this happened, and her showing a generic legal document that I could print out at home.
There's that 1% chance that you actually are suing Onision, and there's actual legal stuff to back up what you're saying, and you have the filing receipt, and you're actually going through with what you claim that you're doing, then by all means, I will admit on Twitter, I'll admit publicly, hey, I was wrong. But I don't think that I am wrong. I wish I was, for the people's money who you stole's sake. But at this point, I suggest that you learn to acknowledge your mistakes, and you just simply admit them.
Well, it seems their concerns may have merit. Madam initially had the idea of suing Onision in a video titled "Watch this video if you want Onision to be sued" on June the 19th. She discusses the viability of suing Onision and claims she had talked to a copyright attorney who said she would need at least $100,000 to be able to pursue a case against him. However, In the edited pinned comment of the video, she states that she will pursue a small claims lawsuit against him and get payback for Onision's improper use of the copyright system by draining him of funds. 4 days later, she released a video titled "I Paid" for Onision's Patreon, in which she advertises a Patreon link described as being a way for people to fund Onision being sued. In the first video by Creepshow Art, she shows off a clip of Madam with Paper, which is a copy of a notice of small claim that would be filed at the Pierce County District Court, the court where she would have to go to sue Onision. But the problem here is that anyone with access to a printer and an internet connection can also obtain this piece of paper. I mean, look at my copy. I guess I'm suing Onion Boy too. There's a process of filing this lawsuit, and there is no exception based on location, so she would have to go through the correct procedure to be able to take Onision to court. If Ashley was genuinely going to go through with a small claims lawsuit, she has two ways of approaching it. The first way would be to file the small claim online through the Pierce County District Court's website, which provides many different forms including instructions on how to sue someone through small claims. The only issue with this is that the filing fee, so the $50 she would have to pay to file the claim against Onision, needs to be paid in person to the court clerk officer within 72 hours of submitting the claim. For obvious reasons, and as shown in Creepshow's video, she opted for the small claim notice form, which she would supposedly lodge when she would eventually travel to Washington. However, in Repsion's video, he shows a conversation between Madam and a former friend of hers who let her stay at her house when she went to Washington in late September. In this conversation, she claimed her court dates were set for October, yet this isn't possible at all. The dates could not have been set until she had paid the filing fee, which is only accepted in person, meaning that she would have to be present in the court before she had planned her trip to Washington. That is impossible. As well, in a small claims case in the Pierce County District Court, as of paying the filing fee, the court clerk arranges a date for mediation with both parties. This mediation occurs before the case is presented to a judge to attempt to resolve the issue before heading to judgment. As well as this, it's the duty of the plaintiff to serve the defendant the notice of small claim 10 days before this mediation, which means she would not only have to get someone to give Onision notice that he was being sued, but also attend a mediation with him during this time. According to Repsion, this couldn't have possibly happened because Onision never made any noise about it at all.
And you also gotta remind yourself that we're talking about Onision. If Onision was actually being sued legally in small claims court by you, Ashley, you would think that he would be tweeting about it. He's like, oh my gosh, somebody's actually filing a lawsuit about me. Someone's gonna sue me. We all know how Onision is. He can't control his tongue.
Repsion quoted Madam stating that she spent $6,000 on legal fees, but the maximum she can take from Onision in small claims court is $5,000. There's a clear discrepancy with this number. She says she could sue Onision through small claims, but I question that theory. The small claims system was designed so small monetary disputes could be settled without the cost and hassle of a regular lawsuit. In other words, if someone owes you money for whatever reason, you can get that money from them with a court order. The problem is, Onion didn't do anything to Ash that could really consider him owing her money. He may have committed perjury, but perjury isn't something that you can sue for in a small claims court, and is more than likely something that would be used against him if it was a legitimate copyright lawsuit. Because of this, I contacted an intellectual property attorney to see if he could clarify any of her claims, as well as the possibility of taking a copyright dispute through small claims. He said that he had never dealt with this kind of case before, and also said that it would require a great amount of research to see if it would even be possible to take the dispute through small claims. What he means by this is that it would take a lot of time, and therefore would cost a lot of money, for him to figure out whether or not there would be a case against Onision. So there is a possibility that Madden spent $6,000 on legal counsel. However, if this is the case, the result was probably the news that she doesn't have a small claims case against him, and she just blew $6,000 on legal fees. It wouldn't be surprising if she lied about that number, and it's definitely not surprising that she would lie about suing Onision. To my knowledge, she made at least 5 videos on Onision, and they somewhat did pretty well. So it was something that brought in the views, the numbers, and the ad revenue. She even gloated about making $3,000 from one of her Onision videos in a conversation on Discord. Suing Onision would bring in more viewers because that is something people want, some sort of hindrance of Onision's life, which is why Chris Hansen is in high demand. With that brought people who wanted to help support this action, and Ash seemingly preyed on this hope and said people can fund the lawsuit through her Patreon. This is where we get into a bit of crime, and maybe we can get some sort of justice for those she defrauded. The lawsuit against Onision doesn't exist. There is enough proof from the legal aspects through to the statements that she's made that it would be extremely hard to make any argument for its existence. Her unwillingness to show proof of receipt for the filing fee she would have received simply because she thinks people don't deserve to see it is an admission of guilt in itself. Even without requesting a public record search, you can dismiss her claims of filing a lawsuit. However, I requested a search from the court and they confirmed that no small claims case has ever been filed by Ashley, and further, no case has been filed in the entire state of Washington. This is a whole 2 months after the original situation, and there is still no case. She lied to everyone, and that is a fact. Hey, it's me during the editing stage. This is totally original. So during editing, I found a clip in her apology video that I didn't see beforehand, and well, I'm gonna play it because it just shows how much of a lying scumbag she really is.
This is me from the past, hello, and if you're watching this, it means I've already filled this out and sent it to Greg's County. Proof that I actually am fucking suing him in small claims. I don't know why people think I'm not. I fucking am, so yeah.
I filed my small claims case before my flight to Washington online. Thankfully, Pierce County allows you to do this online versus King County, so that made it easier for me. Because I don't have a fucking printer. Once I filed my claim, I had to appear at the courthouse within 72 hours in person, and I can't do this in Florida as I've already explained this in another video. So I go to the courthouse, paid a fee, and the process has just begun. And then I had fun, I went to a concert, met up with some old friends, and had a good time. I think this is enough of an update.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
So as we know, she has made it clear that donating to her Patreon is a direct way of helping to fund the lawsuits, and this brought in a good number of pledges from people who don't like Onision. It's recorded that she made over $7,000 from this little scam, with one donor pledging a whole $4,000 because they believed she was suing Onision. A few sources I've been in contact with say this person may be attempting to receive the money back, but is unsure of whether or not they will be able to sue her in this case. So I originally had the idea of contacting a criminal defense attorney, someone who specializes in that field of the law, to see how they would apply this situation and apply the law and see how or if this was actually a viable case. I managed to get a reply from the first one, and then they asked for more information, so I sent them basically the entire story. I didn't get any response. So I contacted another, and they didn't respond at all, so I enlisted the help of Josh Pescator, who, since he lived in the US, I asked if he could contact another attorney that I found by giving them a call. Long story short, this one and a few others didn't respond, so I had to come up with another idea. I have created a private Discord server only for those who pledged money to Madam during her fundraiser for the Onision lawsuit, and that is what they explicitly donated for. If you're not interested in this and you want to do your own thing, my advice would be to reach out to a local attorney and do your research and make sure you find one that offers a 3-hour consultation period so you can understand whether you specifically have any case or not. Because it's only a smaller amount of money she took from the people she deceived, this would ironically be a good case for the small claims court. However, with the travel costs involved to sue her in Florida, this may be the only option if you want to make her feel some sort of accountability for her actions. But make no mistake, this was not a one-off occurrence. In fact, a former friend of hers, who you all know as Mr. Wang, came to me with a great deal of information regarding her actions, as well as what she's like behind the scenes. You know that ugly $3,300 pink bag she bought with what was most likely the money people donated for the Onision lawsuit? Well, apparently that wasn't enough for her greedy little hands, so she contacted a friend of hers, Aurora, and asked them if they could Bitcoin scam people so she could buy a limited edition Fendi purse, because even though she's rolling in the money, she can't afford to buy a trashy purse. This is the exchange she had through text. There's a bit of weird roleplay energy going on, but Aurora believes that she genuinely wanted him to rob someone so she could get another $3,000 item. She also suggested sending him nudes as payment, so take it as you will, she's either a hustler or just extremely desperate. Considering this exchange was in December, it's a very fresh scoop. It offers us an insight into how she interacts with people behind the scenes. As well as this, she also scammed an artist out of an $80 commission. She hired this 15-year-old artist, kinda seems like she preys on the young, to design her thumbnails for her videos. However, when it came to completing the contract and paying this young artist, she supposedly ran into some PayPal issues and couldn't pay. It got to the point where Wang took it upon himself to pay this artist and reduced his monthly Patreon pledge to Ash because this artist had waited a few months to be paid. Just another case of an unprofessional attitude dealing with artists and a struggle with handling her monetary commitments, which is rather ironic considering how much she would brag about making a lot of AdSense, and that the people who come to dislike her videos are paying her bills and helping her out. The fact that Wang had to come forward to pay off her debts is rather disgraceful and shows how much influence she had over him to the point he was pledging $100 a month to her. It would be hard to disagree with the notion that she is a serial scam artist. Like, what happened to the Etika fundraiser? Where's the proof that she made the donation to the organization that she said she would? Also, literally last week, another artist came forward saying that Ash hadn't paid her for a commission. I contacted this artist to see what they had to say, and they showed me some screenshots of Ash commissioning them, but they didn't actually send anything to prove whether or not she didn't pay. However, Mr. Wang told me that he had also paid this artist, so take it as you will. But it's not just the fact that she's defrauded many people. It's what she does to people that really takes the cake, and it shows how dangerous she really is. You may see things in the next part that you may have seen in a recent video by Repzilla. Thankfully, he didn't mess it up as much as I had feared, however it did lack a thorough verification process to the point that Wang couldn't even send him evidence to provide to the viewers. I've got this evidence and I did go and make sure everything checked out. And what I found is that Ashley is a very disturbing individual. So her very publicised actions are no anomaly, and her grand overreaction to minor criticism is rooted in her character. What she does behind her screen is disgusting and dangerous, which is why many former friends have come out against her. I'm not one for removing people from their platform, but with what was described to me, it's really hard to not want such a thing because she has the potential to really cause harm. It's very clear she lacks empathy and holds everyone below herself. She lies and manipulates them into doing her bidding, and if they step out of line, she makes sure they pay the price. Even as little as asking for credit when there was none given is enough to trigger a reaction where she will attack you, and I think Slimmers is very lucky that the art community had their back. However, some people did not have the support and faced a torrent of abuse, up to the point of it being very concerning. First of all, her willingness to attack a 15-year-old artist and attempt to dox them is deplorable in its own right, but this is not the only time she's done something to potentially harm someone in this way. A big rule of being an internet personality is to not send your audience on harassment campaigns because it only makes you look like an absolute loser and destroys your image as a creator. Instead of being a decent human being and respecting the power that a platform possesses, she used it in ways that are not acceptable in any shape or form. According to Mr. Wang, Madam would post the docs of people she doesn't like on her Instagram and would call for people to harass them in any way they could. She did this to one of her ex-boyfriends. She released a string of stories branding this ex as a stalker and made claims that he allegedly threatened her life, sent armed people to her home, and tried to access her PayPal. Here are some of the screenshots of this dox taking place. She teases her followers with his private information, tempting them to come to the aid of their queen. Is she really that precious though? As all normal people do, she holds a poll to choose whether or not to release his phone number, and then follows it with the claim that she had gone to the police twice in September. This was a blatant lie. I checked in with her local police department and they came back with no records of any contact with her, nor were there any police reports filed. There were no calls to 911, there were no reports filed. She was never in contact with the authorities. She made up a story that she was in danger so she could feel justified in releasing her ex's private information. She followed this up with a screenshot of a convo with an unnamed individual, then releases a message wall that pretty much says that she's going to be giving people her ex's private information, and then she went ahead and dropped his phone number. A serial doxer. But it gets worse. This person became the target of harassment, up to the point that the information Madam gave to her loyal goons ended up with some of them turning up to this person's home. Here's a chat log of this ex-boyfriend and a few of his friends discussing this harassment as it happened, where they refer to an image of the ex's home published on Madam's story. The police were allegedly called, however, the person remained anonymous, so I cannot verify whether or not there was any dispatch call or police report. However, from Wang, he says that this person is trustworthy and he didn't do anything to harm Ash in any way. She sent people to his home, she leaked his personal information, and he was harassed. But this is just the beginning, and where it gets a little bit concerning. So Ash has another ex-boyfriend. They seem to be piling up pretty quickly. And that was a terrible joke, and I am not sorry for it. Well, it seems that Madam Princess Ash, has a bit of an issue. And well, she's a little bit batshit crazy. I was sent this screenshot from Discord by an anonymous source where she describes the thought of murdering this ex-boyfriend. This is really bad. This was back in August, and it does seem like she genuinely had these thoughts, with the accompanied reaction from the questionably named Discord staff member. It gives it that sense of reality. Further, a few days before this, Mr. Wang was engaged in a conversation with Ash where she discusses the idea that she will eventually kill this ex, making it seem like an inevitability. Wang's reaction is again sincere, so she definitely meant it, and judging by the Discord call, he was able to somewhat reason with her. Her admission of being dangerous is rather unnerving and rightfully concerned many people. It's also ridiculous that no one had heard of this until the last few weeks. What's even more concerning is that this is not the only case of her threatening to kill an ex. Going back to the first ex, the one she doxed and had people sent to his home, well, he was also a recipient of this threat as well. Although they don't know whether or not she was joking, the reaction came after the boyfriend didn't respond to hi, and she appeared rather blunt and aggressive. This was in July, and in November and December she released his private information. So it's not too far-fetched to believe that she was being sincere in the earlier messages, because sending people with the orders to do whatever to someone generally means you want them harmed. Not very good. At all. None of these actions has a place within our community, and I urge her to remove herself from a platform so she doesn't harm herself, and more importantly, someone else. As well as this, a lack of care for a future starts to shape how everything falls in place and would be a good explanation for why she went on such a self-destructive episode through September and October. There's apparently a lot more evidence, and many more victims and witnesses to what Ash has done that aren't willing to speak up yet, but there is definitely more to this story than what I have to give. Princess Ash, or Madam, whatever you want to call her, brought about her own downfall from the most simplest of requests. It's truly spectacular that some stupid, unnecessary drama has unfolded to the point that there's a potential for a civil or a criminal case to be heard against her. The fact that has dumbfounded me, and everyone who has helped produce this video, is the fact that some petty YouTube drama has developed into something a lot more sinister and, well, shows us the darker side of YouTube creators. This is no broken fingernails, no dodgy palettes, no petty Twitter arguments. This is the apparent abuse of one's power over others due to their influence. As much as I hate the name, and I know a lot of other people do too, but it's true that once you garner such a following, you become an influencer. When this happens, it's on us to hold them accountable for whatever they do. And even if they feel like they're being cancelled, it's entirely on them, as their actions are their own doing. What a shit show. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.